I just want you to defend something that you wrote earlier on this week. Talking about Real Madrid's second string, it's not that Madrid play okay without key players, it's that they often play better, more coherent, more organised, more intense, more collective. Apart from Danilo and whoever Marcelo's replacement left back is, it might not be a huge stretch to suggest the B side is better than the A. You didn't really mean that, Sid.
Yeah, I think in terms of the way they're playing, if you look at how Madrid play, but forget results for a minute, although of course what they're trying to do is get results, but we've had a season in which Gareth Bale has been basically not fit for the immense majority of the season. He's played 41% of the games. We've had Casemiro going out injured, and he was the one player that we thought didn't have a replacement, but it turned out that Kovacic could replace him very nicely indeed. Even the goalkeeper, Keylor Navas, has had a pretty much what looks to be, at least from the outside, a crisis of confidence in recent weeks. And if you watch the performances, I think when Madrid have played with a second string, you look at them and think they're playing as a collective unit, not necessarily as individual players. They're playing every bit as well as the first team. Now, admittedly, it's true that first team, in part, I think plays within itself, and that when the big games come, they do tend to respond. And certainly no one in their right mind, I think, would kind of consciously take the decision to say, right, I'm going to leave Bale out of the team, I'm going to leave Ronaldo out of the team, I'm going to leave Benzema out of the team. But you look at the collective functioning of it, and I think certainly in 2017, maybe not the whole of the season, but in 2017, I think there is an argument to be had there, yeah.
Are you buying what you're selling?
No, I'm not, because if I'm putting the team on the field, I am not leaving any of those big-time players off of my squad. The other thing I would suggest is that if Zidane were to consider this to be a trend that is valuable, you would then rest the B team against Leganés and play them on the weekend against Atletico Madrid. So the reasoning from Zidane, who sees these players on a daily basis, he puts out the best players that he thinks are going to give him results. That's what matters. And if I'm Zidane, I'm doing exactly the same thing. I am playing Ronaldo and Bale and Benzema and all the big boys in the big games, and they're going to come through for me.
Let's take a look at the SPI, shall we, for this clash at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid going in as favourites. 57%, Atleti at 20%. Here is everybody's predictions for the Madrid derby. There you are. Real Madrid.
The only thing I would...
Well, it depends if we play the A team or the B team.
Yeah. the only player I would question, I wouldn't play Benzema. I'd play Morata. I think Morata is an outstanding player, and I would play him in front of Benzema.
That's because he played for Juventus and you love Juventus. That's all you care about.
He's the only one I would change.
Yeah?
But they're going to win the game.
It's as simple as that?
What, they're going to win the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, Real Madrid will win the game. I don't think Atletico Madrid have got quite so much to play for.
But this is a much more different team than in Atletico Madrid than Real Madrid played back in November when it was 3-0 and it was a no contest. It was played at Vicente Calderón, and Real Madrid was far superior than Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid has improved. They're a much better team now. They've seemed to have built momentum, but even then, I still think that Real Madrid will find ways to win the game. Because even when they're trailing late, you just feel, there's a feeling about watching this team that you think, there's something that is going to happen, and Real Madrid somehow is going to get 3 points out of this. And that's what they've been doing throughout the course of the season.
And everybody keeps going on about Ronaldo. He's got 19 goals in the league. Where's the rest of them? The top of the league, he's got 19.
Yep.
The nearest is Morata with 11.
I mean, he's still a key player. Ronaldo, although he's lost his athleticism, he's now a brilliant box player. When the ball goes wide, he finds space in the box. He's good in the air, and his awareness now in the box is exceptional. And that's why he's still a top-class player. And that's why he's scoring all the goals. Not because he's got blistering pace, not because he can go past people. He's just a very, very good box player, and he's changed his game brilliantly.
Sid's had a bit of time. Surely he's had a sip of water, and he wants to reevaluate that B team is better than the A team, because...
Might be a bit more than a sip of water.
Sid, I've got a lot of time for you guys, but I tell you what, that's up there. That is up there. That's in my top 5. 100%.
Okay, well let's use that game that we were talking about as one of the examples of it. The game at the Calderón was Real Madrid theoretically without their first choice side, and they were much more coherent. They changed the formation entirely. Isco played the game when he normally doesn't. He was in a position which is his natural role behind the forward, a position which doesn't even exist in Real Madrid's normal lineup. And I agree with Ali when he says you don't leave these guys out. No, you don't, and I don't think anyone would. But when you look at the way that they perform, not necessarily the results they get, the way that they perform, there has been a coherence about this, about the kind of, if you like, not necessarily an entire second string, but about an altered team that isn't always there with the 4-3-3, with the side that we all know. That said, of course, as I pointed out earlier, that when the big games come, they do tend to step up. I think part of it is, if you like, a kind of an emotional or psychological issue with games that kind of don't really excite very much, and that perhaps you need that to push on, and maybe players that haven't got a regular place in the side go into games with that extra little bit that some of the other players don't. And to go on to the Ronaldo thing, by the way, I mean, it's curious, and Craig's quite right, 19 goals this season, you sort of say, well, where is everyone else? There's been debate in Spain this year about why Ronaldo's figures are so bad, which tells you how unbelievably good he's been in his time at Real Madrid, that in a season in which he's got 19 goals, in a season in which there are only 2 players in the league, Leo Messi and Luis Suarez, who've got more than him, it seems like a relatively poor season for him. That said, in defence of both Benzema and Bale, as I said, Bale's only played 41% of the minutes. He just hasn't been on the pitch that often. And Benzema is a number 9 who's a facilitator of others. And one of the reasons, of course, why Ronaldo scores lots of goals and can play that role that you were talking about being the box player, being the number 9, not coming in from the wing, not going beyond people. One of the reasons he can do that is because he's got a number 9 prepared to create and then vacate those spaces for him and allow him to play that kind of game.